Dan Illman, Matt Bernier, the feature race at Woodbine on Saturday. Race number 8, it's the Grade 3 Ontario Colleen. We are kicking off a 20-cent late pick 4 with this race. This race is at 1 mile on the new inner turf course configuration. That is a 2-turn turf course at a mile for the Ontario Colleen. You can bet the nice Woodbine card on Saturday with your DRF Bets account. Sign up, learn how to access $150 in risk-free wagers. Let's meet the field for the Grade 3 Ontario Colleen. I want to talk about Queen of Bermuda right away down towards the inside, stretching out around 2 turns for the first time, drawing the inside post. Doesn't she just have to go?
I would imagine she's going to be forward, if not outright on the lead. She's got the time form US figs to stack up very competitively in here. She comes out of a pretty solid race. You may not have any superstars coming out of that honeybee, but the third place finisher, next out winner with an 84. The fourth place finisher came back and earned an 86 by her. I think there's plenty of reason. Again, if you're suspect about some of the other horses in here, and look, I don't think there are necessarily, I think some of the shorter prices are a little bit vulnerable. Queen of Bermuda is definitely intriguing.
Let's throw up that time form US pace projector. You'll note that it is a red bar scenario. We are expecting some hitting up front. It may help the horses coming from the back of the pack. We see Chad Brown's Invader, the 2 Seek and Destroy, close to the pace. She was the pace setter last time out in the Wild Applause, was no match for Blowout, who was running at Saratoga, I believe, on Friday in the Lake George. So you can check out that result and maybe reanalyze Seek and Destroy. But the good news about Seek and Destroy is she doesn't need to lead to win.
I was going to say the run 2 starts back. Arguably her best to date came sitting off the pace, coming with a run. It's going to be interesting to see where she is positioned in a spot like this. I assume if Queen of Bermuda goes, I don't know that Seek and Destroy is going to come from way out of it like she did 2 back, but you do have a number of horses that it seems like their best running style is outright on the lead. So maybe she ends up being a little farther back than maybe I'm initially anticipating.
The 3, 4, and 5 also have some sort of early speed and can be part of this mix. Sister Peacock, the 3, has won her last 2 races. It is interesting to note that both 2-turn efforts on turf, they were at Gulfstream. She ran well in both of those races, but they're the only 2 losses of her career. Maybe she's more effective at slightly shorter distances.
Those 2 races also came with relatively moderate paces signed on. She's probably going to be facing something considerably faster. And if she is intent on the lead, which keep in mind, all 4 of her wins have come in gate-to-wire fashion. If they're intent on trying to make the front, I think she's going to get her goose cooked. And at 3-1, she's one of those shorter prices on the morning line that I want no part of. I'm going to throw her out and try to beat her.
NJ's Brass, the number 4, another stretch-out sprinter, can be part of the pace. Just missed in a 2-turn dirt race at Keeneland as a 2-year-old filly. She did some good things last time out. It was her first race in about 6 months. It was her first race on a synthetic surface. Some handicappers believe that the synthetic form successfully translates to turf, and the horse ran really well to finish. The buyers are light. The distance is still somewhat of a question mark, and it is her first race on turf.
A lot of things being thrown at her this time around. From a speed figure standpoint, she's light. From a class standpoint, she's like. And look, the distance, I have no idea if this is going to be to her liking. She's a total pass for me.
The 5, I'll take the gold. Yet another one with speed. Easy gate-to-wire winner, going 6.5 on the turf last time out. But that was against maiden optional claimers, Matt, and she got loose. There's no way she's getting loose in this race, and she's just taking a giant step up in class. She might be the longest shot on the board.
Yeah, the only other time they tried her out at a distance like this, she showed speed and she faded late. It's another instance where she has so many things going against her in a spot like this. There's just very little for me to recommend.
Another horse that's shown speeds way on the outside, that's Double Medal. This is a horse that's tried 2-turn racing a couple of times. Once at Gulfstream West, once at Gulfstream. Ran well both times, hit the board both times. She's going to stretch out in her 3rd start of the form cycle here. Unlike the other speeds we've mentioned, she has at least shown the ability to pass a couple of horses in the stretch. This outside post, though, at this distance, over this configuration is tough.
That part that you brought up, though, that was the only reason I thought maybe I could use her underneath, because she at least showed in the 2 most recent runs that she is willing to pass horses, which is something some of these other girls have not shown that ability just yet. Having said that, her only win to date has come in gate-to-wire fashion, and I can't imagine a scenario where she makes the front.
All right, we talked about all the speed horses in the race, so the horses that like to be forwardly placed. Now let's concentrate on the stalkers and closers. And I think Wings of Dawn's real sneaky in here. Mark Cassie's always been high on this filly, and why not? She sold for $600,000 as a Keeneland yearling. She's by Medaglia d'Oro. She was an open lengths winner in both races at Woodbine to kick off her Woodbine and synthetic campaign. They tried her in the Mother Goose last time out. I'm not going to fault her for that effort. The question is, you see her first 2 races on turf. They're kind of ugly. Is she just simply a better synthetic horse, or has she found herself as she's gotten older?
You know, she is one of those dangerous ones where at 12 to 1, I'm not going to be using her because I look at it and say she has 5 races on her page. 2 of them are really good, 3 of them are terrible. The 2 that are really good are the synthetic ones, as you alluded to. The problem is at 12 to 1 with these connections, I wouldn't be surprised at all if all of a sudden she just has put it together and she's figured out what she's doing and she'll be fine on the grass. I'm not going to be betting on her or using her, but I can totally understand anybody doing so.
Carnival Colors, a dangerous late runner, a Godolphin homebred by Distorted Humor. We have no worries about turf for her. She passed that test last time out in her turf debut. It was her first race with Lasix. I would have liked to have seen a little boost in the buyers, but it was her first race in about 8 months, and she's going to get the right pace set up. I think she's going to do better than a 72 buyer this time. She's going to have to.
Yeah, I agree. I think she will move forward. The question is, how much farther forward is she going to move? Is she going to move up into a mid 80 or a high 80? Because I think there's a real chance that's what it takes to win in a spot like this. Look, Michael Stidham is off to just a tremendous start up at Woodbine. He's got 5 runners as of this recording, none of them out of the exacta with 3 winners. So look, this could be a one that's ready to fire. But you brought up that sort of plateau, 3 straight 72s. I think you move forward. I just don't know how much.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Ontario Colleen. Matt, you like the number 6, Holy Anna, and she won her career debut for Kevin Attard like a future star. And then you go back in the pedigree and you start getting a little excited.
Well, I mean, you see the initial part here, sort of the obvious. You see point of entry, you think longer, you think distance, you see out of a Holy Bull mare. That's all sounds all well and good. And then you look and see who her older half sister is, and it happens to be Holy Helena, who ended up doing a number of good things. Won the Queen's Plate as a grade stakes winner on turf, wants to go all day. I just love the way that she moved in that debut. She was basically out in the clear throughout. I didn't think there was a ton of speed signed on. Timeform US agreed for one of the internal fractions anyway, color-coded red. And Eureka Rosa da Silva never asked her for any run. She just did it all on her own. Sure, she popped to her left lead at the very end, but I'm going to look at that and say, you know what? First time starter, long stretch up at Woodbine, debuting at 8.5. I loved everything I saw. The only thing I'm a little bit concerned about is there a scenario where this mile is a hair on the sharp side for her that maybe she wants more ground before we see her best? Having said that, 4 to 1, I would take that in a heartbeat.
It's actually a good point. Maybe the mile's a little short, but if the pace is really hot, that might mitigate the circumstances for Holy Anna, equal the playing field, so to speak. Boy, the way she looked in her debut, she looked like a star. I wonder if we get that 4 to 1 at post time. Speedy Soul is my top selection in this race. This is going to be her turf debut, but if you look at the bottom half of her pedigree, it's mostly all turf, so I'm not that concerned about it. And she was just a professional winner of the Bison City last time out at 1 mile and a 16th, where she sat right off the pace. Patrick Husbands was patient, kept her covered up until about the quarter pole, swung out, and she just rolled by that field in the stretch. This is a tough field, but she's won 4 of 6 lifetime. She is tactical. She doesn't have to be too far back. She doesn't have to be on the lead. She doesn't have to be last. You can put her wherever Husbands wants her. I want to give her a shot on the turf in here. I think she has got a little bit of a class edge, obviously an experience edge on Holy Anna.
Yeah, I picked her second in here. I think she's arguably the most likely winner of this race because she has the speed figures and visually what she did in that most recent run. That's the sort of thing that, you know what, you don't know until they try the turf, but I think it's going to translate for what it's worth. That Woodbine Oaks, thought she ran just fine in that run 2 starts back as well. I liked the winner that day, Desert Ride. I liked her in the Queen's Plate, and she didn't run terribly there either. I think Speedy Soul, again, if she handles the grass, which I don't think is going to be a problem, I think she's very live. I think she got a big chance.
You like Holy Anna? Give me numbers.
1, 6, 8, 2, and 1.
Speedy Soul's my top selection. I'm hoping that maybe this is a little bit too much too soon for Holy Anna. Distance a little too short. Big field. Anything can happen. Speedy Soul, Seek and Destroy will be my top 2 in here. 8 and 2. You always got to worry about Chad. It's the Ontario Colleen. It's a grade 3. It kicks off the 20-cent pick 4 at Woodbine on Saturday. It's a bet you can place on your DRF Bets account. Sign up. Grab $150 in risk-free wagers. Approximate post time of the Ontario Colleen. Race number 8 at Woodbine on Saturday, 4:50 Eastern. Good luck.